It is 1:01. Good afternoon from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Jackson Williams. Titans fall in London to the Ravens 24-16. Ryan Tannehill leaves that game with an ankle injury, leaving Malik Willis to attempt the comeback. Willis finished 4 for 5 for 74 yards, adding another 3 for 17 on the ground. Derrick Henry, one of the bright spots on the day, 12 carries, 97 yards, with 63 of those yards coming on this play.
Direct snap to Henry. Henry fakes the reverse, goes right to the 30, to the 40, to the 50, to the 40, to the 30, to the 20, to the 10, and he is run out of bounds by the hustling Williams at that point.
Titans go into their bye at 2-4 with plenty of questions surrounding the team. Their next game will be here in Nashville against the Atlanta Falcons Sunday, October 29th. Sunday Night Football, Buffalo was able to do just enough to hold off the Giants 14-9. Tyrod Taylor finished that game for the G-Men, 24 of 36 for 200 yards, but wasn't enough to unseat the best team in New York. Brent McMurphy reporting in college football news that Brock Bowers, the Georgia tight end, will undergo ankle surgery and may miss the remainder of the college football season. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you need to visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Let's go, Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone. Happy Monday to you. Boy, it's cloudy outside. I think it's cloudy with a bunch of you folks. There's a bunch of clouds clouding people's vision today of the Titans. The first comment we have in the chat is from Emmett, and it just says Tannehill, 8 for 16, 76 yards. That's it. Then Lonzo said, I guess good afternoon, fellas.
Let me go check the stats and make sure that's correct, man. I got the stats.
Lucas left the stats for us.
He left the stats for me. He says, I forget them.
This is the Giant stat book. I'm a big fan.
8 for 16, 76 yards. He had what? 37.5. Is that right, passer rating?
That's what it says.
Whoa. Watch it. See? Everybody said Malik Willis played horrible. 4 for 5 for 74 yards, 118% passer rating. Mm-hmm. And just imagine if he would have threw something on time. My. What do we have here? Oh, man, maybe a quarterback. Maybe
a quarterback controversy.
I'm not going to go that far.
I'm going to.
Controversy with not Tannehill, but with the two backups.
Yeah,
maybe so.
If Tannehill's hurt, and by the way, hey, everybody, if Tannehill, if they say, it's probably going to be a couple of weeks before he can go with his ankle. Or 3 weeks, maybe. Whatever.
Okay, let's say he can't go, as you're mentioning.
Yeah.
Tannehill.
Yes.
Can't go for 3 weeks. Why is he coming back?
I'm not even talking about him coming back. I'm saying, what do you do when the Falcons show up?
What I'm getting at is, once I start the process of developing and playing my backup quarterback, who's a young quarterback, and who I think is going to be my franchise guy, I'm going to just keep
the page
going.
is turned.
Yeah, I'm turning the page. Tannehill may have dictated and forced him into this corner, and now it's going to start, and there's no reason to go back. Whether win, lose, or draw, still in the playoff race and all that, if that happens, I think you just keep rolling with it. I really do. Unfortunately, I was a big proponent of blowing everything up, but they wanted to win, and I get it. It's hard for me to even just to say what I just said, because that means you're somewhat giving up on the season. And when I say that, it's because you got to live through the ups and downs and the roller coaster ride of a young quarterback starting for you. So, yeah, that's going to be a tough pill to swallow for Vrabel. I think he's a winner. He's always been a winner, and it's going to really perturb him really bad if it becomes that. And then now they're going to make mistakes, and you got to know there's going to be some growing pains, whether it's Willis or Levis. And, everybody's going to say it should be Levis, but I'm a big proponent on letting it play itself out. So let Malik Willis, because then you put all the pressure on Levis if you actually go that route. If Tannehill can't go, right? So then you put all the pressure on the guy that you want to start instead of making it the other way around. Let Malik Willis start, and then if he falters, then here you go, young man. Just like they did with Christian Fulton and Dillard in this past game. I agree with both ways that they did that. Obviously, Dillard was a no-brainer. He kept, he's still getting – he can't anchor. I mean, the guy wasn't as good, but he still was having anchoring issues. MPF got in there, and they ran the ball behind him, did a solid job. I'm not going to say he was perfect because he wasn't, but he was better than Dillard. And he could anchor. Anchor means that when they start bullying him, he can put his feet in the ground and say, Eric, stop right here in your tracks. And it's hard to do. I don't have to do that, but I'm not a 300-pound, super athletic move guy on the offensive line. So I thought that was the right move sooner than later. And then, I think Fulton was taken out early. I don't know why he was really taken out. I know OBJ caught a ball on him and slanting cover 3, which is really not your play, but you're supposed to be there to make the tackle immediately. Other than that, I didn't see anything else with Fulton. He did a great job tackling on some running backs who were powerful. So I think he has to play within the scheme of the defense, and I think that's what he did. See, that's the life of a cornerback. So I saw nothing different than what I saw in the previous game, is that he was just pick-a-booing in man-to-man, and he got a little too aggressive when he's running down the field with the receivers, according to the referees. Got to think it's a judgment call, so you got to play within the refs and understand who you're playing with and against. That's on you as a defensive back. It needs to start, having conversation with the referees before the games when you're out there warming up. Ask them, how they're going to be calling the calls, and if you do this, what will they let slide, what they won't. Every, crew is so different. So in this game, it was about the Baltimore Ravens controlled this entire game, and the Titans never had a shot at winning from the jump. Once the game started and they had a couple drives, it was like they're just a much more talented team. What they did do was great on defense in the red zone. They did a great job in the red zone. But other than that, man, the Ravens, it was just like, how like when you're playing your little brother who's a couple years younger than you, you playing him in one-on-one basketball, it's 8-10 and it's close, but you're going to 12. All right, now it's time for big bro to, show you what I got. That's exactly what happened in this game. Just keep it simple. That was, they just a better team, man. It's kind of heart-wrenching for me to just see the Titans in this position, really. Man, if we don't play near perfect, we're in trouble. We have, no explosive playmakers who can make something out of nothing. D-Hop can, catch, contested shot, passes. But other than that, man. And then Henry, if they use him, which he had 97 yards. He had, 60-something on one carry. So we're in transition, and this is just tough to watch. So if you're going to be 2-4, and you come back and play Atlanta, and then if you lose that, I think that means you have to turn the page. And if Tannehill doesn't play, now you're forced to. Because then you're going to just say, well, let's just keep growing, see how this quarterback, he's getting better every rep, every snap, every game, see where we go with it. Malik Willis. Hey, everybody's talking about how poorly he played. He was 4-5. I just gave his stats. It's really tough when he actually came into the game. And I'm going to say this, and I'm not making any excuse for Malik Willis. Everybody knows I said he was a backup in this league. I was unsure of that until preseason to prove that he was a backup. It's because he came in passing situation. They knew they had to throw the football to get downfield, and then their pass rush ratcheted up. Just like every pass rush. Same what we would do if it's in the fourth quarter, 5 minutes left in the game. And so he was being harassed. So everything sped up as far as his progression reads. And he was nowhere near ready for any of that. And some people going to say, oh, he looked like last year. Nah, not to me, because he was still trying to look and do it. He just couldn't get it done. So he ran. And then when he made some completion, at least they booted him the first play, tried to get him comfortable. I like that call. But he was in a tough spot. Does he have to get better? Absolutely. So I would, if Tannehill can't go, I would start Malik Willis if it was me. And then my chain would be somewhat short just because I want to see Levis, and that's my pick. But I'm going to give him his shot to see if he can continue to get better. If he doesn't get better, I might as well go to the guy who's going to be the guy. We traded all this collateral, and we got to see what we got. unfortunately.
But you're saying by starting Malik, he either
Hoops in the pan,
runs with it, or he hands the job to Will Levis.
Yep.
And then you never have to look back again.
Right. See,
Then
that's how I would work it. That's how I work. And if he does well, guess what? That means we're winning. We're doing good. So
Right.
what can I do?
And if he doesn't, you're like, okay, you're second string behind Levis. Here we go.
Let's move on.
Let's move on.
Yeah, but that was tough, man. What were your thoughts there, Mickey? I know we got ding dong, but there was a lot of ding dongery going on in that game.
And we'll play this audio coming up, but Mike Vrabel got asked yesterday. It was kind of like a clump of questions, and Buck was there, and PK was there, and some others. But I think it was Paul Karski who actually asked him the question, do you feel like some of these issues aren't fixable? And he essentially said, no, I don't know. I mean, that's troubling to me.
Yeah, that was alarming.
That's super troubling.
Super alarming.
And I know we've got some, and this is a guy who said, we've got guys playing peekaboo, and we got guys in match coverage, at man coverage, and they're trying to get, that tells me guys are doing what they want to do. That tells me guys are just doing their own thing.
So has his voice gotten lost in the locker room?
Well, if there's a team and a coach, and the coach is saying, I don't know if I can fix it, and guys are just doing their own thing, that sounds like guys aren't listening. I wonder if anybody told Kyle Phillips, and maybe they did, maybe they didn't. Hey, man. I would have put 11 people on line of scrimmage. I would have tried to block that punt, because if you don't block it, it's going to bounce around until the end of the half anyway. I thought that was boneheaded. I mean, there were just a lot of boneheaded things. The play was bad, but the coaching was bad. I mean, just everything was bad about it. They went from first to worst in the span. They were whatever they were last year before they lost 7 games. They were 9-5, I guess, is what they were. Mm-hmm. And they've lost 11 of 13 games since then. Guys are doing what they want. I mean, that's just a sleep at the wheel. Coaching. I mean, that shows you in the NFL, if you're not alert and awake down to the last second of every half, quarter, anything, the other team's they're going to beat you. They literally had 1 second. They scored a field goal.
That was tough, man.
NPF dropped a touchdown. I mean, if you just don't allow the field goal and NPF catches a touchdown, that's 4 more points and 3 less points. That's a whole different game. You're driving down at the end, maybe you kick a field goal to try to win that thing.
Yeah. This I know there's a lot of blame to go around, but this is all about, to me, Tannehill. And if Tannehill is available, and if he misses several games, the Titans lose, and then your chances of making the playoffs are going to be harder. You're looking at, you still have a lot of AFC South opponents out there still to play, so you still got a shot. So in Vrabel's mind, he still's got a shot, at least at winning the AFC South, as they play all the teams except but one that they've already played once already, in which they'll play again, the Colts. So to me, this is what this is about. And if he's available, then that's kind of going to change your thought process, which you've kind of hinted around, man. But I just don't see this team. 9 wins? I think I predicted 10 wins, 10-7. Man, 9 wins. Man, that's still got a long season. So I just don't think this team is built the way they have been playing to come back on and go on a run. But anything's possible. But man, dang, this one.
And they're still not built to be able to come back and play in a game. They're not built to come back. They couldn't do it. They couldn't get. They couldn't do it, as you pointed out. They put Willis out there, and the Ravens are like, okay, then we'll just rush the passer and make life difficult, and that was the end of it. So they're not built to really get a lead, and they're not really built to come back and get a lead, and I don't know what they're built for. John Glennon, I do know this. He's built for talking about it. John Glennon, set to join us next. I think I said NPF dropped a touchdown. NWI. Thank you, Jim, Frank, and Nance, for pointing that out. But I think people
do start with N.
Which N I meant. Yes. All right. John Glennon will join us next on Blaine and Mickey. Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone. It's some pressure for sure. The Titans dropped to an 0-4 start, headed into the bye week. You can just feel it. John Glennon never under any pressure, though. Maybe when deadlines are due for the Nashville Post. That's where he writes now, like Glennon Sports. So let's start with this, JG. First of all, hope you're doing well on this Monday.
I am indeed. Hope you guys are.
Yes, sir. What is,
We're doing great.
let's just say somebody gave you a pen and paper and they said, will you write a report on this team? And will you write in order the worst problems and right at the top this team's worst problem and then go from there in reverse order? What is this team's biggest problem?
Well, I mean, the bad thing there is you've got a choice.
you have choices there, John?
You know, you can't automatically just say, okay, it's this one. This is the exact thing, and if they just fix this, it's all better. Unfortunately, you know, I still say, you know, when a team is so desperate for offense as the Titans are, I still think, you know, their offensive line situation is problem number one. You know, they're just so leaky, and it's just so hard to get any offense going, any you know, time for the quarterback. That to me starts the whole list of issues. Not far behind, you know, is the secondary. You know, this continuous run of X plays that we see time after time after time. I think those are 1 and 2, but you know, there are a lot of candidates that are vying for that top 1 or 2 spots, unfortunately.
How crazy is this? Because I just asked that. I didn't know what you were going to say, and you said offensive line. Well, what did we say all last offseason? Boy, if they don't fix the offensive line, things are going to be bad. Well, you round up out there with twice daily. So for this whole offseason, we all said, my gosh, if they don't fix the offensive line, things are going to be bad. They tried, but it seems like a lot of swings and misses. This is 2 seasons now where this has been a problem that appears to not have been fixed.
Fair to say. Yeah, you know, I think they did try, but, you know, I think their left tackle solution, you know, it was one that was admittedly risky. You know, they signed a guy to like Andre Dillard, you know, with upside, but a guy who really hadn't been a regular for a year or two and really hadn't, you know, excelled when he was given the chance. So they kind of gambled and said, we still think this guy has upside. He's going to be our guy. We're going to pay big money for him. And obviously it has not panned out to date. And I think really as a result, or at least partially as a result of having signed, you know, Andre Dillard in free agency, they tended to use Peter Skoronski instead of saying, okay, Peter Skoronski was an All-American left tackle in college. We're going to make him our left tackle here. They figured, all right, we already paid big money to Andre Dillard. We're going to put Peter Skoronski in guard where he can still be a very, very good, you know, an excellent guard, but they never really gave him much of a chance at left tackle. And as a result, you know, we're seeing that revolving door already at left tackle. We saw yesterday where Nicholas Petit-Frere, you know, first game back this season, went into that spot and you know, had a tough time in replacing Andre Dillard as well.
Hanging out with our man John Glennon at Glennon Sports on Twitter. Of course, the Nashville Post. That's where you can read all the latest.
Well, John, I guess, do you put any of the blame on the travel itinerary, at least for Philip's sake?
I don't.
Phillips.
I really don't.
Right.
You know, I think, you know, when we talked to Mike Vrabel Friday, he said, you know, at the very beginning of practice, guys might have been a little sluggish, but, you know, that didn't last long, and guys, you know, took to it right, you know, a little bit after that. And, you know, let's be honest, I don't think the Titans' travel itinerary was much different than most of the teams going to London. You know, it wasn't the Ravens were the ones who made the big switch. Not many teams go very early in the week like the Ravens did. So, you know, could you connect dots and say Titans weren't great out of the gate? You know, maybe there's a connection there. I guess you could, but I don't see it. I don't think that was the case. I think you know, by the time kickoff rolled around, the Titans had been in London long enough that adrenaline's pumping. You've got an NFL game. I don't think that played a significant difference at all.
We're going with John Glennon, who covers the Titans for Nashville Post. I guess, John, Who's to blame here? And I know there's a lot of blame to go around with the success of this team, but was it the picks, the personnel scouting department, the GM, the head coach? How would you look to say, well, they had tried to address things, but none of those things have worked. So that was their selections. And then 40% of the roster pretty much has changed over, at least 5%. So how do you view where this team is and who's at fault?
Yeah, I think it's still primarily personnel. You just go up and down the roster, and there's maybe a handful of guys that would be real good players on other rosters, but not a lot. I just don't think there's a ton of talent here right now, and I think obviously some of the drafts under John Robinson, the more recent ones, were not particularly successful ones. The trading of A.J. Brown, has proved to be a crushing blow for this team. So I think there's blame to be leveled there as well. I think the Rand Carthen in his first off season, I think it's been a mixed bag. I don't think he had a great deal of cap space to work with. As I say, some of the signings, you look at guys like Al Shire, Brunskill, even a guy like a Chris Hubbard, they took some chances on some guys that they couldn't pay a lot of money to, and those guys are doing pretty well. Another one that we just talked about, Andre Dillard, not so much, but I tend to think of it right now as, I don't think anybody can really look at that roster and just say, I can't believe the Titans aren't winning with this star-studded roster. It's just not there right now.
I guess lastly, real quick, do you think the Tennessee Titans can turn it around this season at 2-4 right now?
Boy, it's happened before, certainly, but I have a difficult time seeing it. We talked about the issues. There are issues on both sides of the ball. It might be one thing, too, if there were a number of players that were injured, and you could say, okay, wait till these 3 or 4 guys are healthy again, and then the Titans will really be something. Well, Traylon Burks is out. I don't know if he single-handedly makes a huge difference. He'd certainly make some difference. But, I just, again, when I look at these guys, and some of them are on the downside of their career, I just don't know if I see a big turnaround. And I think Mike Vrabel yesterday, was asked if the issues on the Titans were correctable or not, and normally the kind of the knee-jerk reaction of a coach is to say, sure, everything can be corrected, we'll be good, don't worry. And he was, I guess you could say, pretty honest. He said, maybe not, and I think he maybe even said probably not. I'd have to go back and check
he did.
the exact wording of it. Yeah. But when your coach is honestly saying that the issues may not be corrected, to me, that's not a good sign. And to me, that leaves more open the idea that we could see some turnover at this team. Of this team, in potentially in the near future. We'll see.
Yeah, that's what I was getting. Man, you just made me think. I mean, you think that should happen? Should they start, free selling the elite players and see what they can get and move on and change that quarterback?
Yeah, I'm usually not a proponent of the big fire sale talk after 6 games in a season, and you're 2-4 and you're only 2 games out of first place in the division, but that said, as we just talked about, does anybody think this team, even if they get better, is really going to be contending with whether it's the Chiefs or the Dolphins or the Bills or, even the Ravens, obviously, any of these really good teams. And if you're not going to be a contender, and if you've got a bunch of your top guys, toward the back end of their careers, and not necessarily part of the long-term future. You throw in the fact that you don't have a lot of draft capital right now, and you can maybe gain from that. It's not the worst idea in the world, I don't think. Now, obviously, I think obviously your owner has to be on board because, if some fans start seeing big names moved left and right, there's going to be a certain segment of fans that say the heck with this team and turn it off immediately. But, maybe if you can sell fans on we have to do what's best not only for this year but for the long term, for the future, then it becomes easier to part with some of those bigger names. So it'll be an interesting 2 weeks here, I think, leading up to the trade deadline.
There you have it, John Glennon, who covers the Titans for the Nashville Post.
So, JG, for the people who say, yeah, trade some people, I always see these outlandish scenarios, but who do you think are the guys that are the most tradable or have the most tradability, as I make up words here?
That's right. Well, I think you certainly have to look at the guys who are, in the last year of their contracts, and there are obviously some pretty big names with the Titans. We were Ryan Tannehill, Derrick Henry, Danico Autry, Christian Fulton, Kevin Byard, even DeAndre Hopkins technically has more than a year, but I think he could be moved as well. And again, I say all this, and it we just don't often see it in the NFL that regularly. So it still would be somewhat surprising if there was a quote unquote fire sale. But those are the guys that are going to bring maybe some draft picks in return here. And again, it's going to be tough for a lot of fans. Are going to be saying, wait a minute, you're trading Derrick Henry. He's the franchise cornerstone, et cetera, or you're moving Kevin Byard. Wait a minute, he's been a stud for us for years and years. So, I think you have to make quite an argument to a large segment of the fan base that, look, we've gone as far as we can go maybe with this core, and we have to look not only to this year, but to the long term. That to me is kind of the way you start this process. But again, this is all hypothetical talk. Titans are 2 games out of first place in the AFC South, so maybe not as much as we think may happen. We'll just have to see again in the next 2 weeks before the deadline.
Let's say that Ryan Tannehill, somehow it's a miracle, and he's gets rehab and borrows Blaine's battery-powered stem machine, and he's ready to go versus Atlanta. What do you think the Titans should do at quarterback if everybody is healthy? Because there are fans out there who are start Malik, start Levis. Where are you on all that?
Yeah, well, again, if you make the decision, and now you've got a little bit of time. You don't have to be involved in game prep this week. It's a bye week. I'm sure there'll be a lot of discussions between coach, general manager, ownership, et cetera, about kind of which direction to take here in the next couple of weeks. And if you make that decision that, okay, it's time, maybe we're going to move some of our guys, maybe we're going to look towards the future. If that is the case, and I'm not saying it will, but by any stretch, then, I do think if you're going to go in that direction, then maybe even if Ryan Tannehill is healthy, maybe it's time to get a longer look at Malik Willis. And I know a lot of fans are saying, we've seen enough Malik Willis. We want to see Will Levis. I get that, but I do think Malik Willis deserves at least a week or two of full preparation as a starter, full reps during the week to see how much progress he may have made, in the offseason. And then, if that's not working after a week or two, maybe you turn to Levis at that point. But yeah, if you've decided that's your direction, if the future is your direction, then why not give those guys a chance? If, on the other hand, you take the opposite approach and say, again, hey, we're 2 games out of first place. We still have most of our division games left. We think we still have some talent on this team that can get better. Then, if Ryan Tannehill's healthy, certainly by far he gives you the best chance to win right now. So you stick with him if he's healthy. I think it just depends on which direction in the big picture the team wants to go.
John Glennon, our guest from the Nashville Post at Glennon Sports. Follow him for all the latest there.
Yeah, no wonder you were slow to pull the trigger here, man. PFF, I saw you just retweeted this. Andre Dillard versus Nicholas Petit-Frere. Dillard played 24 snaps. Petit-Frere played 32 snaps. Their stats are almost identical. 4 pressures allowed by Dillard, 4 pressures allowed by Petit-Frere. 1 sack given up by Dillard, 2 sacks by Petit-Frere. Don't know if these numbers are correct. This is PFF. 2 hurries by Petit-Frere and 1 hurry by Dillard. Dillard's overall score grade is 34.3%, and Petit-Frere, 32.2. So who would you choose there, John Glennon, after reading these stats, to play left tackle? Mind you, think about Tannehill.
Yeah, those are some tough numbers.
Man, I mean, I'm thinking Petit Frere played, I'm not going to say a lot better, but just better. I didn't see him getting bulled. I guess that was the whole issue for me because I got tired of seeing it, but he still got beat.
I think it's important. I think it's important to differentiate too. With Dillard, it's kind of more of what we've seen in the past, right? I mean, it's we've seen this more often than not this year in Andre Dillard. There's been a game or two where he's held up pretty well in pass protection. For the most part, it's not been pretty. He's been pretty solid in the run. But then I think the difference with Nicholas Petit Frere, of course, is this is his first game of the season. Not only that, he's playing at left tackle, and though he did play there his final year at Ohio State, obviously he played his whole rookie year at right tackle. So he was, getting kind of used to a new position in a game on the NFL level for the first time, and his first NFL game too. So I think we probably have to cut Nicholas Petit Frere a little bit of slack there. I think, going forward, if I'm naming my starter for Atlanta right now, I'll stick with Nicholas Petit Frere because I think he deserves more of a chance, more of a look there. We've gotten a pretty good look at Dillard so far through 6 games. And as I say, the run game is okay. It's not bad there, but the pass protection has obviously not been good.
Lastly, if you were going in a different direction at quarterback via injury or not, because, Vrabel said so in so many words that he may consider regardless of injury or not at quarterback, how did you think Willis looked out there at quarterback? He was 4 for 5 for, 74 yards or so, and then he ran multiple times there, and then he got sacked, I think, 4 times. Mm-hmm. So what was your overall view of what you saw from Malik Willis in this short period of time?
I kind of think it's some of what we've seen, previously in Malik Willis, and again, it's always a tough situation when you're kind of thrown in there and the team is behind and everybody knows you're going to pass the ball, et cetera. It's not easy, but I kind of think it was more of what we've seen. We saw the great athleticism. He's able to get away from the rush at times. He was able to scramble for some yardage, able to scramble and throw some passes. On the downside, there's just the hesitation issue, and that is the one single biggest issue that has just kind of dogged him ever since the Titans drafted him, and that is just holding the ball for too long. When there's clearly pressure, that clock in the back of the quarterback's head that has to go off, needs to be speeded up. And that wasn't the case for at least a couple plays yesterday that resulted in sacks. And, you mentioned 12 dropbacks, and 4 of them were sacks. And he alluded to a few other rushes there at the end. So I like the athleticism, certainly. Wasn't crazy about the hesitation. And then there was a decision, in the closing seconds down near the goal line, too. Clock is ticking. Titans don't have any timeouts. He's over near the sideline, and probably the best decision there is either to throw the ball away or to run out of bounds and stop the clock. He does neither of those. Instead, he stays in bounds, tries to gain an extra yard or two, gets tackled. And if I remember right, I think he got bailed out by a defensive penalty, maybe in that situation that stopped the clock. But, again, decision-making situation, not great there. So, it wasn't spectacular, but I still think, in fairness to him, if we're going to judge him as a starter, we need to give him at least a week's worth of reps, first team reps instead of going against the scout team. That's the only way to say for sure whether Malik Willis has made full stride or significant strides in year 2.
All right, John Glennon is the head coach of the Tennessee Titans. Who are you starting after the bye week at quarterback? Tannehill's out. He can't play. Malik Willis or Will Levis. Ooh, I got it right.
Boy,
who you starting? Come on, JG. Hey, man, that's why you get paid the big bucks.
I know. I'm wavering already, but I'll base this. We talked about which direction the franchise is going in. Since we don't often see big fire sales and such in the NFL, I'll say it's likely that we don't see that here. If that's the case, if there's no big, clear all the furniture fire sale, then the Titans are still trying to do something with this year. And if that's the case, and if Ryan Tannehill is healthy, then I go with Ryan Tannehill.
Oh, there you go.
John Glennon at Glennon Sports, Nashville Post. Already some good stuff there as JG put his spin on everything that happened in London and more. Thank you, sir, for the time. We'll talk again soon.
All right. Thanks for the opportunity, guys.
Yes,
Thanks,
sir.
JG.
Always good catching up with John Glennon. All right, for the rest of the show, we can catch up with you. 615-737-1045. That's the number. The F&M Bank Chat awaits you. Twitter at Blaine and Mickey or Instagram at Blaine and Mickey. You can communicate with us there. You can follow us there. We'll hear from Mike Vrabel. What was the exact quote from him that he said about our issue is fixable? We got some audio. We got all that. Got Ding Dong of the Week coming up. Lots of show left.
Ding dong.
Mm-hmm. All right, you get tired of seeing your team lose, right? You get tired of it. It's a big part of what we're talking about here today. Well, are you tired of losing your hair? You tired of losing that battle, losing at that game? Well, it's time to do something about it, right? You want the Titans to trade somebody or draft somebody, yet when you look in the mirror every day and see less hair, you don't do anything. That's crazy. You need a game plan. You think the Titans need one? Well, you need one too. That's where you can start to switch things around with a game plan from PAI, from WeGrowHair.com. They've been helping people for over 26 years, and they're right down the road. They're here in Middle Tennessee, and it's not just politicians and singers and movie stars. It's regular people who go there because they're the very best, and they have all the latest technology, and different people can go different routes to keep the hair they have and get back the hair that they've lost. Here's the thing. Nobody can do it, though, if they don't make that call. If they don't go to WeGrowHair.com. Call today. Find out about permanent natural results from the company that you and I can trust. PAI Medical Group, WeGrowHair.com. Call now. Free consultation awaits. 615-376-6010. Bow, down, down. Blaine and Mickey on a Monday. This morning, I looked at my dog. She was laying on the couch before I left, and she was covering her face with her paws.
Oh.
Like it was a Monday even for my dog. She watched that game with me yesterday.
Oh, I know. You had on your Titan gear, and she was just like, no, they're not it.
I was not wearing any Titans gear. She was wearing her fur, though, her luxurious fur. And she climbed. She watched most of the game with me, sat in the chair, because I got a system when I'm at home.
Oh, okay. What is that?
So I have this iPad, and you can put up the game tracker. So I have it on the arm of the chair right here. Then I have my phone on the arm on the right side.
What are you doing?
Then I have the dog who lays just next to my right leg. We share the chair.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have this, what do you call the thing where you put the piece of paper on there and write?
Clipboard?
Clipboard, thank you. It has a clipper on it.
You had a clipboard?
So I got a clipboard. Then
I keep you.
Then I kind of write down
what you do when we're at the stadium.
Yeah. So then I write down like,
I'm glad you do all that.
how many yards and who caught it, or did somebody make a great play or a tackle? That way, if somebody's like, man, what was on the second drive? Wasn't it like Clowney had a sack there? And I can go back and look and like, yeah, that was where Clowney had a sack on the floor.
I went from smiling to, did you see Clowney? He had 2 sacks.
Clowney looked like the dude who has made a lot of money in his career for the occasional game just like that.
I'm like, man.
He led the NFL in pressures yesterday.
It's 9.
9.
How many sacks did he have?
He had 2 sacks.
Man, I was like, golly, he's just all over the place. And I'm like, well, where was this dude? And it's because our offensive line, this is not good. Hey, we got a whole bunch of good starters. I mean, backups. They're starting. I mean, man, there's no way he's supposed to be able to do that. Not against no good offensive lineman. Man, he looked just as dominant as Myles Garrett. Maybe not quite that, because he wrecked the whole game. But, man, I mean, he was only playing half the snaps, it looked like. Oh, man, it was, jeez. Yeah, your man Chuck Smith is their pass rush specialist.
Boy.
I saw him on the sideline, too, by the
What's
way.
he's a physician, right? What's his doctor name?
He's Dr. Pass Rush.
Dr. Rush. Dr. Rush on Twitter.
Oh man, that game was just sickening to me. I just, man, and I don't know if I hate them or the Colts, but it was just like, man, this is not going well.
You know what's so funny is this different people move here and all this. There wasn't even a whole lot of talk about Ravens hate week or anything last week.
Oh no,
we didn't even spend. I don't think. I mean, I didn't do Saturday. I know you and B-Hop. I retweeted because I know you guys were talking about Titans' biggest rivals, but there's a whole generation of people, younger people or newer to Nashville people who just kind of maybe adopted the Titans. They hate the Colts or the Jaguars. They hate teams in the division. There's a lot of teams that don't like the Texans, but there's a whole bunch of people of a certain age. When you say Ravens, their skin just crawls.
Yeah, I'm one of them. Mm-hmm. And it just crawled all over. I had to get up and move. I had to move. I went running at halftime. I went running, man. And I was thinking about all the notes you keep, and then my 2-page notes is nothing like yours.
Well, but
I only put down like impactful plays. I try to really sit there and watch. First of all, my phone is dinging all the people I follow who are doing every play. Mm-hmm. I'm like, man, there's no way I can do that. But I'll sit there and write down impactful plays. Like the Ravens. Here's a good note for me. Ravens did a quick screen. They checked to the screen when they saw the Titans were going to do all-out blitz. And they said, oh, okay. And that's when Nelson Aguilar took it and went to the house. Great setup, blocks, everything. Boom. Got him. NWI, drop TD pass. No, that was all in the first quarter. Was it more Ravens fans there than Titans fans? That was a question for me because they seemed louder on the TV. Doesn't mean that was the case. Or was there more jerseys of Ravens than Titans, and it was supposed to be in a Titans home game? And D-Hop, all the pass interference he was politicking to get.
Boy, they got a lot of that. Their secondary got flagged 5, 6, 7 times for holding, for pass interference, for illegal contact.
Mm-hmm. Yep. You think they talking about benching 44?
No.
I don't think so either. And he was the main culprit. He does it every game. That's who he is. That's what he does. He's
Sure.
from Alabama. Yeah, his dad played running back, Humphrey, in the NFL for the Broncos and Alabama.
Then he just stopped. Bobby Humphrey. Remember, he was
Yeah.
like then he was just gone, like in a blink of
Well,
an eye.
didn't he tear his ACL like a couple years before he retired? I think he was just managing through it. I don't know. But when he first got in, you were like, whoa, he's going to be good.
He had a little run there where he was as fun to watch as anybody.
Mhm.
And he was fun to watch in college.
Yeah.
Ooh, he was fun. But he had a nice, quick run in the pros where you're like, man, this guy's different. He was explosive. He was a fun watch.
Yeah. I got to hear Clowney just beating everybody. Dillard, main culprit. That's in my notes.
Well, he got Dillard shelved.
Yeah, that was.
Titans fans can if you don't like
Simmons,
Dillard,
another ding-dong penalty. Yep, that's another one I wrote down and didn't say ding-dong.
he had half as many personal fouls as he did tackles, Blaine. He had more personal fouls than he did tackles for loss or sacks.
He better make sure he do better before you tell my other people do better. He need to do better. And then Kyle Phillips. That was the end of my second quarter.
Okay.
That's all I got.
We'll finish Blaine's notes. Hour number 2 coming up. You want to check in on the phone, you can do it 615-737-1045. Ding Dong of the Week coming up in hour number 2 as well. Plenty of Ding Dong candidates as always.
For many of you who have lived here a long time, you already know Eurofix has been in Middle Tennessee area for your European car repair needs now for 24 years. And we've all got to watch them grow. And I don't know about you, but I love watching a hometown business take off. Well, we're now proud to announce the 5th location in Mount Juliet for Eurofix on Mount Juliet Road. And Eurofix can serve you in Franklin, Hundred Oaks, Murfreesboro, Belmead, and now Mount Juliet. Pretty cool getting to watch a small-town mechanic starting in the barn in his backyard of a single-wide trailer and now grow to 5 locations repairing thousands of cars each month. And at Eurofix, you get a 3-year nationwide warranty and a free loaner car with every repair appointment. And all you have to do is just give them a call at 844-EUROFIX. That's right, 844-EUROFIX, or you can visit them online at myeurofix.com. That's myeurofix.com. But always don't blame you.
40 years ago, we opened our doors with one mission in mind:
We'll be right back with the top 10 songs of 1983.
to sell quality American-made vehicles at a fair price.
You have arrived.
And we've loved every minute of the ride. Celebrating 40 years of Two Rivers Ford.
Blaine and Mickey 104.5 The Zone. Taking your reactions on this Monday. Would love to hear from you. 615-737-1045. We'll do Ding Dong of the Week in the next segment. Titans go to London. They went late in the week. The Ravens went earlier in the week. The Ravens did get the win. We had John Glennon on. He said, they were over there enough time to get acclimated.
Yeah, he didn't think that had nothing to do with it.
I think it was a big deal.
It wasn't. Gotta ask.
No, that's a fair question. I would ask just people watching what they thought. But the Ravens get the win. The Titans were again poor in the red zone, so they were 1-4 last week, and everybody was freaking out. Guess what? They were 1-4 again yesterday. So they've
been consistent.
They are consistent. You can hang your hat on that. So they're 2 of 8. They're 2 of 8 in the red zone. The other thing that's kind of been scaring me on the opposite side of the ball, because the defense was the ultimate bend but not break. The defense gave up 21 points yesterday. Special teams gave up. Well, Kyle Phillips gave up 3. That wasn't the defense. Didn't do anything but go out there and just, they never even entered the field for that field goal. It's just special teams. The ball was dropped. So the defense gave up 21 points. Now the Ravens held the ball. They scored on their first 4 possessions. But in the second half, the defense kind of tightened things up, for lack of a better way to say it.
Tighten up.
The thing that got me about the defense yesterday was they allowed 4 more X plays. That's 9 in 2 weeks. Then I think there was another 19-yard play that doesn't count. But they're still giving up some big plays. I think the number is 4. Andrews had 2. Maybe Aguilar had 1 and 1 more.
Zay Flowers had he only had 1 for 14. Andrews had 1 for 38. Aguilar was 21. Odell Beckham Jr., 32.
Okay. And then Andrews had a second one. He had 2 X plays. He had one that was low 20s, 20 or 22 or something like that.
Yeah, because he had 17 yards average per catch.
That is just kind of mind-boggling to me, because that's just a lot of times to lose somebody, or to bust on a coverage, or for somebody to have that much room to run on an NFL field as fast and explosive as everybody is, for 9 times in 2 games to give up 20-plus yards on a play. That
spoken like a true defensive back, that means you're not getting no pass rush.
Oh, I would agree with that wholeheartly. They had 1 sack.
I mean, some of it is on the defensive backs, but it's you can't work. You work hand in hand. There's no way around it. There were guys running wide open. I'm supposed to be going. So yeah. So I think as much as the defense got better in the second half, I still think they need to get after quarterback a little bit better. I know this was a tough task with Jackson, but secondary, man, explosive plays is just happening all over the place. And now let's go look at the Ravens' explosive plays. See how many they gave up. 1 to Spears for 48 yards on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
And D-Hop had 1 for 20.
Yeah, the King Cat play where he ran, 64, 65 yards.
63 yards on the field.
63.
Yeah, the King Cat, right? King on the screen, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's it. They gave up 3. So it just didn't match it. That's a recipe for disaster. I haven't seen it like this since the Titans have been under Vrabel. This many explosive plays game after game, miss a game, and then right back. Can't blame Fulton for this one. Those are all over the place. So
when you and I talk about the 99 team, what changed everything for you guys?
Yeah, there was no doubt it was the Freak.
The Freak.
We had really good players, but he was an elite talent. So why you go first round is because of your talent. Now, do you live up to that talent and potential is always the hurdle for those guys. Dillard, we can go offense, defense. It doesn't really matter. But they have off-the-charts athleticism that God gave them. And now how do you morph that into being a really good football player? And once the Freak figured out how to be a defensive end and not an outside linebacker, it was easy. After that, then that made everybody else's game just rose up because it was just like, we got to keep up with this guy. And then he made it easier because everybody was turning their protections, double teaming them, triple teaming them sometimes.
Y'all were getting fumbles and interceptions
all over
and tipped balls. And
I mean, man, I was backpedaling 2 or 3 steps, and he's already back there. Sack!
Yep.
Like, dang, he got back there already? I had to change my whole way of playing. I had to scoot up.
I'm sure.
I wasn't going to make any plays.
Well, you told me, hang on, I never backpedaled again.
Because the ball was coming out even faster.
Right. I thought, I'll never even get involved in a play if I backpedal a couple of steps. I got to get forward every time.
Yeah, I'm coming downhill. Yeah, all the way. Make him throw that quick bang.
I know people are down on Tannehill. Tannehill is who he is. I know people are down on the O-line. They're the guys that the team picked. They were balling on the budget. That's who they picked. You know, they're trying to figure out what's the mix on Derrick Henry and Spears and who gets the ball when and how much and who play. I get all that. And they got D-Hop, and he looks like himself. He drew 2 interferences yesterday, and he caught 1 X-play ball. That was his contribution. As Dyson once told me, hey, man, all I can do is run my route, and a million things have to go right, including the guy making a choice to throw me the ball. Mm-hmm. The thing that's the most disappointing to me by a mile on a team, and people can make fun of me and call me dumb or whatever, it's the defensive front. It's not even close. They spent money on that. They spent draft capital on it. They gave Big Jeff the biggest money. They brought in Arden Key. Harold Landry got paid. I know he's coming back from an injury, but I'm just telling you.
Matter, yeah.
Rashad Weaver was a decently high draft pick. They signed some free agents.
So that's over O-line?
Yeah.
Because of the expectations.
Yes. Yes.
And the money that they've allotted.
If they were think about this. When the Titans beat the living poo out of the Chiefs over here a couple of years ago, how many times did they hit Mahomes?
Oh, a lot.
They broke him.
Eventually he had to run to get anywhere.
When the Titans played the Patriots when Tom Brady was still there was an afternoon where you pointed out he just laid down. Remember, he just threw the ball at somebody's feet. One time he was just like, I'm just laying down. If those guys do the job, and I know the other guys against them are getting – everybody's a pro and they make money too. But that group was assembled to do great things.
Uh-huh. That's what this one is. The money tells you.
The money tells you. In the NFL, the money tells you everything you want to know. Everything. Literally follow the money. As Dion said, it must be the money. Look, man, they are the most disappointing group because, as you said, DBs wouldn't have to cover nearly as long if the quarterback was being destroyed. You know, and look what pass rush has done to the Titans again on the ball and on a budget offensive line. But the defensive front is, I just can't get over how little they are affecting the other team.
Yeah. Well, now I agree with you to a certain extent because, you know, expectations are on the ones who, you know, you are supposed to be special. So I expect them to be part of the wrecking shop every game. I mean, yeah, you're going to have a game here or there where you maybe you're not impacting the quarterback as much. But that hasn't happened. And oh, by the way, even with Big Jeff, I mean, what was his stats?
He had 2 tackles.
Oh.
He had 0 for loss and 0 sacks. I don't even know if he had a pressure. I don't think he had a quarterback. He had more personal fouls than he had sacks or tackles for loss. And you can't get baited by OBJ and punch him in front of the refs or push him.
Well, I know OBJ like kicked him or something. But they always going to get the second person who retaliates.
Yep.
You got to know this.
You have to know that.
Yeah. There's no way around it. You weren't on the bottom of a pile. You was in the open, and then the referee was standing right there. So, he's got to do better. And by the way, Big Jeff and all the elite players, make sure you're just talking about yourself and then just say we need to do better. You know, it sounds like the way you said it. I know people can change it up, but I know what you meant. But it's the way you worded it. Like, you know, hey man, I'm doing my job. Everybody else around me got to do better. Like, nah, everybody got to do better. You supposed to be dominant, a dominant force. If you're not taking on 2 blocks and guys not making plays, then that is on them. But I don't see it. He hadn't played up to that level that we expect from Big Jeff.
If he was truly playing to that level, he would be affecting things personally, but the guys around him
would be dominating. They'd be like, whoa, dang. Okay, here's a good example. They play the same position for the same team in different times. Big Albert. Those 2 years he was going after that contract. That is how Big Jeff supposed to be. I had never seen a big D tackle play like that until I saw Big Al for a Titan, for the Titans organization.
And here's the thing, Blaine.
He was unstoppable. And then Van den Bosch and everybody else around him all of a sudden start making plays all over the place. You be like, whoa. Yep, because of his dominance. And boy, was he a mean, nasty dude. He was just like Big Jeff. Mean and nasty.
And Big Jeff got Albert's contract.
Yeah.
To stay here.
Yeah. So we need mean and nasty and just start ragdolling people.
I'd be like, hey, man.
People have no idea. Like, we go into these meetings, man. A lot of people can say he was crazy and all you want to. Greg Williams will use every explicative after the game if we gave up an explosive play.
Sure.
He be blaming the DBs and the D linemen and talking about, y'all might as well you better bring your meal because we're going to keep doing it. Mm-hmm. So you better get your mind right. And boy, the conversation was not going like that. So people think it's all glitz and glam and everything else. Boy, you getting MF'd the whole time. DB, linebacker, D-line. It is everybody's fault. Them explosive plays that we are not having it. If you're gonna do that, then everybody who was out there, we're gonna have to have a conversation. Boy, it was different time, man. Different era. That tough love. Oh, coach, you don't like me, man. What are you talking about? This dude's livelihood, based off of your play, determines if he's here or not, man.
Well, the other thing, too, is, like I told my son.
They better act like they got, some firecrackers in their behind. They better get to moving, man.
Well, they coach the guys hardest, too, that they think can do it. If he ain't coaching you hard, that means he
moved on.
Yeah, he doesn't care what you think or care anything about it.
And here's another. Okay, we're talking about offensive line. How come Dillard hadn't figured out how to anchor yet? Is he getting coached how to do it? Or is he actually just won't do it? Like, man, come on, man. You've been in the league a little too long. I know you haven't started a lot of games, but, man, you got to figure that thing out. I'd be calling all kind of linemen across the league. I'd be DMing them even if I didn't know them. I'm watching them film like, hey, man, how did you this is not time. Boy, I got a lot at stake right here. I'm trying to keep this money. It's going to be an interesting presser at 3 because I don't know where Vrabel's going to go. I have no idea. Based off what he said, this is abnormal, some of the things he's been saying here recently. Like, I don't know if we can correct him. Huh? What? What? Well, if I'm listening to him play, I'm like, oh, is he talking about me? What? I can't correct. Oh, man. I may get cut.
If I was making errors, I'd be listening.
Yeah, I might get cut. So I don't know who he's talking to, but he picked 35% of this roster this year. It was him.
40, yeah.
Yeah, 40. I'm going to say about 40, yeah. They talk about the roster turns where this one turned a lot, and them was your dude, so you got to develop them and get them ready to rock and roll.
Speaking of turns, we got to turn the page to the next segment. We will do that. It is time for Ding Dong of the Week. Line up the Ding Dongs and get in here. 615-737-1045. There are Ding Dong candidates, and we will get to them next. I'll tell you, man, fall is just such a cool time. Well, what if you were hanging out at your own lake house at the fall and you were watching the leaves change out on the water? Well, that'd be amazing. Well, here's your chance. And this is a limited opportunity here. Resort, golf, marina community, it's all coming down Saturday, October 28th. Experience lake living and do it at a fraction of the cost, right? Here's your shot. 2-acre wooded lots from $64K and lake villa packages from $349,000 and last remaining sunset waterfront lots. Those are $50K off. And this is all the good stuff. Walking trails and shoreline and a clubhouse and pickleball and pools and just everything you ever dreamed of. And it's about 20 minutes from Knoxville and they've got financing available. Call now and secure a private tour and see this for yourself. They got limited times to do it. This is your chance to live the lake life you've always dreamed of. It is a limited property release Saturday, October 28th. Visit us now, lakelivingtn.com, or call and make yourself an appointment to see it yourself. 865-408-9992. Invest in something real like lake living. Blaine and Mickey, 1045 The Zone. Ring a ding, ding, dong. Time for ding dong of the week. There's ample candidates. There was plenty of ding dongery this weekend. This Bills-Giants game had some ding dongery in it. The Giants couldn't run a play at the end of the first half.
How did Saquon look?
Looked like himself for the most part. I don't remember any ding-dongery from him. I don't remember any ding-dongery from Mark Spain. You just go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer on your home today and start packing. You'd be a ding-dong if you were having to, like, clean up the kitchen and stuff every day. You don't have to do that. You just call Mark Spain, and he just, here's your offer. Just keep it moving. It's what life's all about. Keep it moving. We'll keep it moving to the phones. 615-737-1045. Let's get the ding-dongs lined up. John. It says John is calling from the barber shop.
Oh, barber shop.
I can't wait to hear this. Hey, John.
How y'all doing?
Good, man.
Good. As far as ding dong of the week, I'm gonna get a ding dong of the week to myself because instead of going to the church and getting a word from the Lord, I got a turd from the Titans.
I think the barbershop won already, man. Good one, John. Thank you, man.
Well, keep the Titans in your prayers, John.
Oh, my.
Say drop that turd.
Well said, man. They dropped a turd on me. I could have went and got some of the Lord.
Oh, man. That's one of the greatest ding-dong calls we ever had.
Yeah, it put me in a depressed state, man. I just laid on my couch and couldn't believe it, just stunned, man. I took like 3 naps. I was depressed.
I should have.
No reason why, because I kept saying, I don't think we're very good. And I don't want to believe it. I don't. And we can say, oh, the schedule's getting easier. Well, the Texans and the Colts and Jags looking pretty good.
Oh, there's one metric from like PFF that says the Titans have the second easiest schedule the rest of the way. Well, I looked at that schedule. It looks a lot harder than it used to.
Right. Man, I was like, oh, that's a win. That's a win. When they
easiest
split with him.
PFF easiest remaining schedules. Number 1, Saints. Number 2, Texans. Number 3, Titans. Number 4, Atlanta, Tennessee Foul Titans. And number 5, Indianapolis Colts. The easiest wink remaining schedule. Yeah, I looked at that schedule. I don't think anything looks easy right now. The Titans make everything look difficult. Punt coverage, returning punts, not stopping X plays, and then everything offensive that there is that you can do with the football looks difficult.
All right. Joseph, what's your ding dong?
Well, there's so many to pick with this Titans game.
Well, you
so
can
I'm
pick
just,
2. You know,
I'm just
Pick
not gonna.
2
I'm
ding-dongs.
not even gonna look at the Titans game.
It's like
I'm
Panera
gonna,
Bread.
You're gonna look at the UT game.
I'm gonna go to the UT game. And it's just the officiating, and it's not. And it's not just because they didn't call stuff in favor of Tennessee. They didn't call stuff in favor of both sides. There were like 4 face mask penalties missed.
I
there
saw
was
that
like
one, yeah.
3 or 4 defensive pass interference missed on the first drive that Tennessee had.
No, it was terrible.
It was awful, and it's not that the fact that it's going in one way or the other. It's just inconsistency all around. You have a PI that a guy's pulling his arm down, and then the next time that happens,
They didn't call.
they'll just let him play.
Look no further than the end of this
The Bills game.
Giants game.
Exactly.
They called pass interference on the last play of the game. The guys got kind of tied up in the end zone. They called pass interference. The Giants got another crack at it and threw into the back of the end zone to a guy who was getting his jersey pulled off and his arm pulled down, and they didn't call anything on that.
Darren Waller had a hand in his collar.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yes.
Hand in his collar, and his left arm was getting hooked, and only one arm could go up. He would have caught that ball if he had both hands up, and they would have won that game.
But they called it on the first play and not on the second.
And the first one wasn't even that bad.
No, it was
Somebody
not.
said, hey, man, let the players decide.
So the guy's like, okay, I don't care what happens on this one. I ain't calling
I'm
nothing.
not calling. I didn't see it.
I ain't calling nothing.
I ain't calling nothing either.
Yeah, there was some bad football yesterday, too, not just played by the Titans.
Ooh, how about them Jets? Ooh, who predicted that? Nobody.
They were missing 4 top cornerbacks. 4 of their top cornerbacks. They had a guy on their practice squad that they elevated who was starting.
Ooh, the Eagles?
No, the Jets did.
Oh.
And the Eagles with A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, couldn't do anything. And Jalen Hurts couldn't Stop throwing it to the Jets.
What was that? What was that front doing? That front four?
The Jets?
Uh-huh.
I didn't watch. I just watched the highlights, so I didn't watch the whole game.
Yeah.
But on those interceptions, it seemed like he had a lot of time to throw. It didn't seem like anybody was near him. He was just and he didn't have help from his receivers. They were dropping balls and tipping it up to other defenders. It was bad football.
Oh, man.
The Giants left tackle, they do the intros on TV, and they say, like, Mickey Ryan, Arkansas State University. I always wanted to say that. This dude was, like, straight off the couch. That's what he said. They had just signed him off the practice squad to play guard, and he had to play left tackle.
Well, here's what happens when you do those interviews, when they do the, Sunday night, Monday night games, and they ask you, they tell you to say your school, you give your school, then they also say your high school or whatever you want to say.
Oh, so then they pick the one they want to use.
Yeah, exactly.
Those rascals.
On game day, then you don't know what they use because you have no idea as a player. Then people are texting you, "Hey man, why you didn't even mention Ball State?
Right?
What are you talking about, bro?"
They picked the other thing.
I said, I had
that's
nothing to do with
interesting.
that, man. I just did whatever they asked. I just said my high school and my college. What are you talking about? Yeah. So, and then some guys, they could say something funny or whatever you want to say is on your mind.
Straight off the couch.
Yeah, straight off the couch. Yeah, some guys probably already said that to him. Man, you straight off the couch. He's like, oh, okay, that's a good one. I'm going to use that.
Apparently, it's Justin Pugh. He went from straight off the couch to straight into the fire. He was expected to play left guard, but due to injuries in the game was moved to left tackle, where he played 6 snaps in his entire career. Snaps. The plan was for him to play 25. He wound up playing 77 after spending the past year recovering from a torn ACL and being signed to the practice squad about 10 days ago. Mm-hmm. He didn't know the cadences for the game, so he had to guess many times. Yeah. He said straight off the couch. He's now selling T-shirts that say straight off the couch. He's already.
Oh, my. Well, my ding dong, they have been showing this guy's foot here for the Giants offense. Like, why do I want to see this dude's big old foot and corns and all that old crap on TV, man? They need to get that fixed. They ain't be showing somebody's foot on the TV, man. Come on, man. We got to move on. But a lot of people on here, and I agree, Joe Milton stepping out of bounds there, a yard short on the first possession. Is that one of your ding dong?
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Had the first down. If he just reached the ball out. They got the penalty. So they got a shot at it again.
And guess what?
He went backwards.
He did.
He got sacked.
He went the wrong way.
Oh.
Yeah, that was ding dongery. I think what we're going to find out is, Tennessee, the wins may look different, but they're still going to get to 8-9 wins. And Milton's just not as good of a managing quarterback. Better athlete, but not a better quarterback than Hooker. And you just got to deal with it, by the way, without, like, 2 weapons at receiver, 2 tackles. The offense, I mean, man, they looked like, wow, looks totally different. And Brew McCoy. So we could say 3 receivers missing from that team last year.
Yeah.
It looks different.
Yeah, that defense, though.
Yeah, the defensive front got after it, and the secondary is making plays. See what now all of a sudden, it's the same secondary, by the way.
Yeah.
It's been there the whole entire time. But, now all of a sudden that front four starts getting nasty with Tyler Barron leading the way. Mm-hmm. And Mr. Pierce. Yeah, he got player of the week. He got 2 sacks.
He's only a sophomore.
Yeah, he got jets, man. He got quick twitch.
He is built more like a linebacker or a safety, like the way his body carries itself.
That's how they look now. He look athlete. Go.
Used to think a pass rusher would be like some guy with real long arms or some huge guy that looked like a grizzly bear that was going to maul people. Pierce doesn't look like any of that.
He looked like a built-up good basketball player.
He does. Or like a giant running back or something. I don't know. Like Saquon Barkley, but if he were bigger.
I think the number 27 is just deceiving you.
It's 100% deceiving me. Seeing 27, that's Eddie George's number, but seeing it chase quarterbacks all around the SEC, that dude is fun, though.
Oh, man. That was fun to watch when you're a defensive guy, man. I've had a lot of fun watching that game.
All right, I'll give you a sneak peek of what caught my attention. I know this is Ding Dong of the Weekend on Tuesday. This is the craziest thing I've ever heard. This is Josh Heupel's 6th year he's been a head coach. He's never won a game before where his team didn't score 30 points. I heard people say it, and I looked and found it in multiple things.
Like when he was even a coordinator?
No, when he was a head coach for 6 years. This is his 6th year.
6 years as a head coach, yeah.
They had scored 30 points in every game that he ever won And they
he gave praise to the defense. I got to give him credit for that.
So after the game, I don't know, one camera caught him going up to his daughter and saying that you've never seen me win a game like this. he said that to his own daughter, and because it's true, he hasn't. He has not won a defensive dominant game from his own team, and he did it this weekend against A&M. I don't know if you guys saw the stats about Max Johnson getting pressured, but that man got hit hard and a lot versus Tennessee.
He did.
I think 11 QB hits.
It seemed like he was running for his life almost every play to me. I was like,
he
dang.
looked like he was running in mud all night too.
And it's not like he's the running type quarterback.
He's not.
Now,
he did have the one early touchdown run, which was
fantastic.
fantastic.
He can run, but I mean, like, that's not his forte. He wants to throw
he
the
looked like
football.
he was running in mud all night.
Yeah, he wants. Yeah, man. Dang, they were getting after that. Mad props to Tim Banks and the whole defensive staff and crew. Man, that was awesome to watch. Wow.
Let's get Eric's ding dong. Ding dong of the week continues. We're getting distracted by all this ding dongery. What's up, Eric?
Guys, unfortunately, I got to throw this out, but my ding dong has to go to the Colorado Buffaloes Friday night for blowing that 29-point lead against Stanford.
Yes.
From what I understand, too, Deion's players were undisciplined. They had 17 penalties. That's bad, guys. You just cannot have something like that happen. Guys, y'all take care, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, that's definitely. I was watching that game, too, man. Stanford. I was like, I thought the game was over. I turned it. Matter of fact, I went to bed. I turned it. I did not watch it. I woke up and they said, what?
It's 29-0 in the second half, and they lost.
Yeah. Yeah, they were bad, man.
What, 46-43, I think, in double overtime?
I think he came back and said, I don't know if you like football or do you love it? Are you passionate about football? I'm like, oh, my.
Did y'all see what Shedeur Sanders did at halftime? He was posting on his Instagram story at halftime.
What?
Like links to like his like merch and stuff. Oh, so yeah.
Watch this. Watch it. Is there a rule that you can't do that?
I have no idea if there.
I've never seen anybody do that. But what I can say is, sounds like he's already a smart business guy.
Yeah,
because guess when's the best time to promote yourself?
When you're up.
When you're on.
Yeah.
No, not when you're up. See, you're looking at it differently. When you're on TV. See, everybody's watching you. Oh, dang! I see his merch posted. Now, at this timeline, see, but I wouldn't let anybody be posting anything at halftime. I'm a coach. Like, no.
And then put your phone in your locker and lock it up.
Yeah.
How do you think
you can look at it, but don't be posting. Yeah, but see, that sounds like to me he's thinking more business-wise than anything else, even though I still don't like it.
How do you think Deion handles that with him? I
think
know
he'll say
Deion
anything.
is a professional, but with him being his own son, how do you think he handles
I
that?
don't think his son being involved at all. I think he promotes that. I think that's what you promote yourself. Go ahead. Yeah, that's your brand. I don't think he has an issue with it. I would. No, I don't. It's just a different era. See, it's a different era where things are different now. You got to say that people are going to get texts and they're going to tweet and they're going to do whatever they want to. I can recommend that they don't, because guess what? I can't be telling you what to do with your own phone.
Yeah.
Like, what? Like, oh, you got to have a rule when it comes in that says no tweeting during the game. Okay, but then now everybody knows. If you haven't set the stone and said that's what the rules are, then they're going to continue to use it.
Harold added in the F&M Bank chat, and this could have happened. He said he probably scheduled that post.
Oh, he could.
You can schedule it. Yeah, people
good
schedule.
point.
Like when people,
That's
when
true.
Tannehill, remember he went MIA and nobody heard from him. They were so upset. And then just out of nowhere, his Instagram posted him like on a fishing boat drinking a Celsius. And people just lost their mind. And he was like, man, I don't even know who did that. Like that was just scheduled because I sell that stuff. Like
That's a good point.
I didn't hit send on that, man. That was put in there forever ago.
Yeah.
He just wanted to have a shot of me drinking Celsius on a fishing boat. I'm sorry, dude.
Because that's how Lucas does ours.
100%. You just schedule it. I
Joseph
wish the
doesn't know.
Titans had not scheduled a punt return with 12 seconds or 11 left to go in the first half.
Oh, this is your
that was ding-dongery of the first order. It was from the Titans' 46, the punt. So it was from the 46. So it wasn't like he was punting from his own 8, right? And you're like, hey, man, we're about to do like D. Williams. You're going to catch this sucker, take it to the house, or, just down it real quick and we'll kick a long field goal. You knew you were going to catch it somewhere where you couldn't do anything with it. everybody was asleep at the wheel. I would have put 11 people on the line of scrimmage and said, if anybody hits the punter, I'll kill you, but try your best to block it. Just try to block it. And then if he punts it, then just let it roll around. That's the end of the half. Let's have a cold Gatorade and just start back with some great second half adjustments.
All right, watch this. I'm going to get everybody. Did you think that before he punted? Oh, no, don't put anybody back there. Let's go after game.
I didn't think that before he punted.
I did not.
I'm not the special teams coach.
Right, I'm not either. Right,
Yeah.
that's why
I
I'm
sure
not
didn't
in the
think
business
that
coaching.
beforehand, though.
But then as soon as it happened, you go, why did they do that? I was saying why Phillips even tried to catch it. Then, I mean, it should have been a short, easy catch, to be honest. And so I think he just lost concentration.
It's a 35-yard punt, essentially.
And a lot of people say it cost him the game because the momentum of that and then leading into the second half. And then the Titans would have been able to just drive down, kick a field goal to win, right? If they
score a touchdown. They would have had to.
If NWI had caught the touchdown and they don't give up, that's 4 more points, and then you don't hand them 3 points, it's 21-20. And I know other things can happen.
Right.
But if everything else played out the way it did, it's 21-20. And all Malik Willis has to do is get Nick Folk in field goal range. And he's the one thing that they have that they can actually count on this year is Nick Folk.
And guess what they did? They got into field goal range.
Yeah, they did. And then they excreted on the bed.
That's how close winning and losing is, man. And that's where the Titans are. They can't make those critical mistakes. Every game we go through, we keep saying, "Oh, if they would have done this and this play, it's like 2 plays, they would have won." Yeah. You go, "Uh-oh, that's not a good sign." That starts saying that you are an average team is starting to going to be below average.
They're below average. All right, one last segment. We've been talking a lot about what Big Jeff said. Let's hear from Big Jeff next. What did he say after the game yesterday? His thoughts. We'll share those next.
And Vrabel, too.
Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone. So Jeffrey Simmons speaking to the Titans reporters who were in London after the game said some interesting stuff. We've alluded to it a couple of times. So let's just hear from Big Jeff himself.
Stepping down at 3.
Figure something out. We need to figure out the guys who, going to fight. We need to figure out the guys who want to be out there. Not the guys that don't want to be out there. That's what it need to be. We need to reevaluate our team and, figure it out. That's the message. Let's figure it out who want to play football for the Titans.
Figure it out who wants to play for the Titans. What do you think he means?
Anytime somebody says something like that, it always there was a whole other bite too. People kind of cut those things.
Mm-hmm.
There was another one where he actually sounded frustrated about the offense. And we can find that one, play it tomorrow. It's out there. I don't remember who had it. I would give credit. I know
maybe because he got a losing record, so now we're going to see, backs against the wall. Who's going to come out fighting? I'm trying to be on the positive side of this. What he meant, I have no idea.
No, I think you're barking up the right tree.
Yeah. Okay.
That sounds like it to me. Okay, like this is not going the way anybody planned. It's bad. Who's going to quit? Who's going to start just trying to get theirs? All that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to say this. Most pro athletes have too much at stake, so who's going to keep playing hard, I think, is not going to be an issue.
Mm-hmm.
Because, everybody's job is on the line at that point in time, whether you're going to be here or not the next year, whether it be a trade or cut or what have you, salary. So to me, and this is what I think was going on with Fulton, is that you're playing for the contract or you're playing for yourself because your time may be up here. Mm-hmm. So you start playing as an individual. Where can I go make a play to make me look good so I can get that next contract? So that's never good either when you start playing. I call it playing as individuals when ultimately you're playing within the scheme, but then you pick a boo in the backfield, see if you can get this pick in case they throw my way.
Mm-hmm.
Now I get on the highlight reel and then I get paid. Or you could say D lineman, I pick a boo in one gap and I go to another gap because I think I can make the play. Or I swim this guy and I take a risk. I'm supposed to have outside contain, but I come inside so I can make a tackle for loss.
Right. And then the guy just runs right past you.
Yeah. And you say, how did that happen? Like, who had contain? Right. That is what I'm talking about. So that could happen more so than talking about somebody not playing hard. I don't. Yeah, you getting paid big bucks. You better play hard. If not, you'd be sitting down. So that'll be pretty obvious. So you don't want that on tape anywhere. And everybody knows that once you watching tape all over the league. So, yeah, I'm interested to see if that happens. Boy, I don't think Vrabel. Yeah, you start not playing in your gaps and doing your own little deal. Ooh. Come sit next to me, fella.
Jason in Nashville. One last phone call. We got a couple minutes left. Hey, Jason, what you got for us?
I just don't understand that when we get down to the red zone, I understand, you got to mix it up, throw the ball, but like Tannehill trying to throw the ball, get the flag thrown at a short yard distance. Why are we running the ball, man? I just don't understand. Like, it gets so frustrating. You got this beast of a man.
Mm-hmm.
You do a trick play, you get all the way down there, and then you just take him out the game. You don't use him no more.
Yeah, a lot of people are sorry about that.
That's a little baffling, too.
A lot of people are talking about that. Here's
even if you just use him as a decoy.
He gets everybody's attention on every play.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man. He's that. I mean, caller said it. Man, he's a freak of nature, man, human being playing running back. Yes.
Somebody was telling me their wife's description of Derrick Henry this a couple years ago.
This?
And it was anytime they give the ball to 22 or even pretend to, everybody on their other team runs and hits him. It was something along that line.
Oh, that's exactly what my wife does.
Right. Like
you know what her response? Here's what her next thing is, why is he running towards the crowd? What are you talking about, honey? He's running towards the crowd. They running towards him.
but the crowd always runs towards him.
Right. That's to your point.
What if you put he and Spears out there together?
Oh, man. I'm not going to be coaching from for him not to even be out there at times. It's just like, huh?
In short yardage, I'll never understand it.
Man.
For the attention alone that he takes.
That's a ding-dong.
There's add another ding dong. All right, we don't need to be ding dongs. We got to go now because 3HL is about to start and Mike Vrabel is about to speak. Somebody jokingly said in the F&M Bank chat, Vrabel's stepping down at 3.
Stop that.
I don't think that's happening, but he is going to say stuff, and you can hear it, I bet, live right here next on 104.5.
I'm tuning in.
Me too.
So, in the meantime,
In between time.
peace. Just because